Welcome everyone, it's Sherry Carroll with another Stamptember exclusive, and this one is by Waffle Flower. This is called Galena Snowflakes. It's a 4x6 clear stamp set and it features several snowflakes in different sizes and shapes and a nice large one in the center. It also has a couple of messages that you can add to your cards. I'm going to start my card off with a couple shades of purple. So I have Violet, Iris, and Twilight. And I'm going to be doing some ink blending on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 cardstock panel. Starting with the violet ink, I'm going to start blending into the cardstock, and I'm going to be blending my colors in a random pattern. So I just want to add some color of that purple in, and I do like to start off pretty light and then blend it out. Once I have some violet onto the cardstock, I'm going to start adding in some twilight, and it's a beautiful darker blue with a hint of purple. And next I'll go in with some darker purple, and this is iris, and I'll start filling in some of those white areas. If you find that you're getting fingerprints on your panel, you can use a paper towel and place it over and just hold it in place while you continue to ink blend. With my blended background complete, I'm ready to do some stamping, and I've put my panel onto my Stampin' Stencil mat and into my MISTI, and I've placed a couple snowflakes onto the door. The first color I'm using is the darker iris color, and I've inked those up really well, and now I can press those down onto the panel. And next I'll ink up another set of randomly placed snowflakes with the twilight ink and press those down. And I'm starting to build this background of different colored stamped snowflakes. And since the Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink is water reactive, I'm going to use a little mist of water on some of the snowflakes, and I'll be stamping with the water. This will allow the ink to pull up from the paper, leaving a watermark look. It will intensify as the water dries. To get a really snowy effect, I've watered down my white metallic paint, and I'm using a paintbrush and just adding some splatters over top. And this is how the background is looking. To remove the panel from the Stampin' Stencil mat, you can bend that mat backwards and then start to lift the edges of your paper and release. Next, I've put a piece of acetate on my Stampin' Stencil mat right in that center area, and I'm going to be stamping the large snowflake using white StazOn ink. Acetate can be tricky to stamp with, but by using the Stampin' Stencil mat, it keeps it in place, especially if I have to ink it twice. So there's my beautiful white image. Next, I want to create a frame, and I'm using the Simon Says Stamp rectangle dies, and I've taped them in place so that I can create that little outer piece, and I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Luxe Glitter cardstock. And once I've run that through my die cut machine, I have my little frame piece and also a centerpiece that I can use for another card. Now I'm using the Simon Says Stamp 1/8 inch Terrific tape, and I'm going to put this around all the edges on the back side. My acetate piece is larger than the frame piece, and I've removed the backing on one side only, and this will allow me to arrange the frame so that the snowflake is sitting where I want it. And now I can remove the rest of the backing and press this down in place. And now I can use my Simon Says Stamp Everyday Scissors to cut the excess acetate away from the frame. Since I'm making a shaker card, I want to cut my foam tape in half so that it is just the right size to fit around that frame. And now I can stick my foam tape right onto the back. I have foam tape all around the outside, and I've also used a little foam square in the center of that snowflake since this is a really large area. And I'm using the Simon Says Stamp anti-static brush tool around all the edges of the foam adhesive to remove any sticky edges. And next I'm going to remove the backing of the bottom and then fold up two of the sides of that foam tape. And then I can place this onto my stamped and ink blended background. And now I can sprinkle in some of my sequins, and then I can turn this over and remove the rest of the backing to seal the sequins in. And now I have a shaker with some beautiful snowflakes in the background. And then I trimmed around the edges to make sure that everything was straight using my trimmer. I added some adhesive to the back side and mounted it to a white note card. I've stamped a message from the stamp set using some clear ink from Simon Says Stamp and Royal Purple cardstock, and using white embossing powder, I've heat set that to a nice shine. I've used the Simon Says Stamp label dies, and I've used the skinniest one for this message, and I've run that through my die cut machine. Then I trimmed it down on the sides and added a few of the 1/4-inch foam squares and mounted it to the front of my card. I hope you've enjoyed this inspiration from the Simon Says Stamp exclusive stamp set from Waffle Flower for Stamptember. Remember that this is a limited edition and is only available while supplies last. Be sure to check the links below for all the supplies I've used and a link to our blog post with additional inspiration. Happy Stamptember, and thanks so much for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at SimonsSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.